Wasn't Hawaii in the 60s really feel isolated? Today it's because of satellite television and all that. It's not as isolated.
It's not as isolated. I gather that it was. The films didn't come for a year or two later.
So did you learn the hula before?
I did. I studied the hula. So we went to hula. We went once a week for years. And I still have all my records, and I can still do it, although I don't remember the stories as clearly as I ought.
Did that help you play the eldest daughter in Fiddler?
Not even a little. Not even this
Jewish,
much. But
mid-European dance is not similar?
No. And in fact, when I see sometimes the tapes from that show, I think, I can't believe I got that job. Oh, my word. But I guess they saw something in me that I really wanted to be in that show. I thought it was one of the most beautiful shows I'd ever seen. In fact, it was the most beautiful show I'd ever seen.
And when the person came to my office and talked about you and the Bears and then said you were the eldest daughter in Fiddler, I did go. And it only made me more interested if I'd only given Aaron that apartment. Who knows what could have happened?
What could have happened to me? I would have had a career.
Were you a piece of work? Were you difficult?
I don't know if I was difficult. I was probably difficult because I was very ambitious and I didn't have any other interests, which is not good, not really healthy.
You weren't difficult at Disney at all.
By that time I had been so beaten up that I was like, I was a desperate housewife. I was playing a part for real. After Jinx, which really, I was so beaten up during Jinx, and everybody on that set hated me, and I couldn't figure out why.
This was after The Rose.
This was after The Rose.
But you were like an Academy Award nominated.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, how outrageous.
I was so stunned that that's how it worked.
Right. Well, everybody's not that way. You've since learned.
Other female stars have told me that this is the way it works. You have to have a certain level of appeal to the powers that be, and everyone is not.
I was a power that
and I appealed to you, and so thank God. So when you called me, I was probably sobbing my heart out because I had been put through the ringer in the press over Jinxed, and I thought, well, this is the end. I'm never going to work again. And then this great phone call came, and Paul Mazursky was so kind, and it was like the $500 special. It was me, and it was Nick Nolte, and it was Richard Dreyfuss, and it was as if everyone was out of rehab, out of some kind of terrible disgrace. And you were giving everyone like, $1.25 to work, to get their lives back together. And basically, really, everybody did. Everyone really went on from that picture to make, to have big careers and to sort of organize themselves.
I never failed with any of those three people before that or after that. Nick Nolte had done Rich Man, Poor Man, all that stuff.
Yes,
Richard
he's
Dreyfuss.
a sensational actor, another sensational actor. And everyone was on their best behavior. Well, not exactly.
Now, during this period, you weren't performing like you did on Clams in the Half show.
I stopped doing live shows. Once I started in pictures with you guys, I basically stopped doing live shows.
There was a piece of Clams where you come out with King Kong.
Yes.
And I called up after I saw it.
You did not. You did? I knew it.
I called up Barry Diller at Paramount. I was at ABC.
I said, get King Kong.
And then he didn't answer me. He never said anything, which is not unusual. And then I called Sid Sheinberg at Universal and said, how about King Kong? And they both started making it and ended up suing each other and finally becoming partners. All out of seeing you coming out of Fay Wray. Being there like Fay Wray. So you spanned a whole kind of era from the 60s and the kind of Vietnam, late 60s, early 70s, the drug culture, the coming out of that into the kind of the 80s, the Disney culture, as you will, the mother culture, the turning your back on the drug culture, then the philanthropic culture. I mean, you have actually, a movie about you, but a movie about you has everything you want. It has the arc, it has the revelation of character, it has the experience, the love interest, the old boyfriend who goes nuts. I mean, it has everything. But you
please don't make a movie of my life. Please swear to me. Swear to me.
Well, see, we made Stella.
Oh, Stella, that was the turning point. See, that's when I wound up in the, excuse my French, that's when I wound up not doing, that was the turning point. That's when I realized it was not going to go well. Because I made Beaches, which was an enormous success, and it was an enormous success for women. Women loved that movie. It was a woman's picture, and I remember so clearly.
By the way, I should have listened to you, because you came to me and said, call it Wind Beneath My Wings.
Did I say that?
Yes. Why are you calling it Beaches?
Well, it had Yeah.
I made this whole case why it should be called Beaches.
I remember that.
You were right. You were right. But I want to go back to this, how you were able, which a lot of people aren't, is to put the past kind of behind you, as we say in Lion King.
Very well, you know, I had a partner who was a sensational person. Her name was Bonnie Bruckheimer, and I loved her. We parted company, but one of the things that I took with me when we left was her motto, which was, "We hold a grudge." So it's not like, the face of it is that I've forgotten, but truly there are some psychic insults that are so severe that you really don't forget. You know, you kind of like don't tell everybody, but you're still like, And I'm afraid I'm one of those people. I am. I do remember. And that's a problem. The best of times, when I really stop and think about it, the grudges are always with you. But the best of times, they have a tendency to dissipate. And you really do have to pull them back in order to go on.
The one thing that you probably don't hear and you should recognize is that there is, in show business, there is business. Otherwise,
Yes.
as Woody Allen said, it would be show. And the effect that you had on the bottom line of Disney, the effect that you had on turning around the perception of a company, of creating a non-Disney brand, was enormous. And what most people don't understand is these companies, even big Disney, only are as good as the content. Just like an automobile company is only as good as the new car, which seems to be a problem today. And I would say your vitality and your spirit, and I think you know this, but I'm not sure you know the impact it had on the bottom line. Or you probably heard it, but it's there. And
Thank you very much.
I mean, we don't talk about that
You
much.
enriched my bottom line, too, don't forget.
Well,
I mean,
we all did fine.
Yeah, we
but
did.
There are
We
a
did
lot.
great.
There are 120,000 employees at Disney
That's
and
true.
millions of shareholders. And you're just doing a movie.
Yeah.
You think you're just doing a movie, then you're doing another movie. You're doing an album, and this is very American.
Yes.
It's not done anywhere else in the world, and I think people do appreciate that. Anyway.
Well, thank you very much.
I loved having you here.
Oh, that's
I could go
kind
on
of
for
you. So
100
kind.
hours.
I
but
could too.
Thank you, Bette.
Thank you, and thanks for everything.